Hey everybody, this is Gagoku7. Welcome back to the third episode of Round 2 of Pokemon Stadium. In this episode, we're going to be taking on the Poké Cup Master Ball. Now, I've also done sub-episodes where I take on the other difficulties of the Poké Cup. They are the first 3 links in the description. In episode 17A, I take on the Poké Cup Poké Ball difficulty. In the episode 17B, I take on the Great Ball difficulty, and in episode C, I take on the Ultra Ball difficulty. In this main episode, I'm taking on the Master Ball difficulty. Alright, let's go. So, the team that I'm going to be using is once again based on the 100% speedrun of Worcester, where it takes on all the cups, all the gyms of Round 1 and Round 2. Now, let's go over these Pokemon. The first 2 Pokemon that we're going to be using are going to be Rock and Ground type Pokemon. Now, you may not agree that this is necessary, but in some matches in the Poké Cup, some of the opponents will have electric types, and the rest of the team is not really equipped to take on those electric types. Now, if you don't want to use Graveler on top of Rhyhorn, you can also use a Fire-type Pokemon instead, like Moltres or Magmar or Charizard. So yeah, but we do need that Rock-Ground type and that Earthquake and Rock Slide for some battles. Now, the next Pokemon that we're going to be using is going to be a Water type that has Surf and Thunder, Starmie. It also has Harden for some situations and Swift for when the opponent, for example, uses Dig or Fly. Now you need 2 electric type Pokemon, so I chose Jolteon and Zapdos. Now Zapdos has the lower speed, higher special, but has Thunder Wave and Thunderbolt, which is quite useful. Now Jolteon doesn't have the Thunder Wave, but has a higher speed, so his usefulness is different from Zapdos. And Articuno, we need the Ice Beam, and the substitute is very useful. So if you don't want to use Articuno, you can alternatively use Jinx, who has a similar speed, I believe, a lower special and a much lower defense, so she might not be the best option. So that is the team that I'm going to be using. Let's go over the Poké Cup Poké Ball. Alright, so for this first team, you want to use Articuno, Starmie, and for something like Electabuzz, you want to use Graveler. Now, you're mostly going to be using only Articuno in this battle, because this trainer is very unique in that it only has Metronome and Counter. So in case Metronome does some very strong move like Explosion, or does something like, I don't know, Thunder Wave, for example, then you're in your substitute at least, and you won't get hit by that. Is it going to be using Sky Attack? Now, I did not expect the Psychics, and that did more damage than I would have liked, because it critical hit. Yeah, it was Sky Attack all along, and it missed, nice. But other than that, there's not much about this battle to talk about, so I'm going to talk about the summary. Now, the summaries that I've been wanting to do is of Rhydon and Golem, and coincidentally we are using Graveler and Rhyhorn, which will be a nice segue into the summaries. So in this episode I'm going to be summarizing Rhydon, and in the next episode I'm going to be summarizing Golem, the evolution of the Pokemon that I'm going to be using today. So let's get into the summary of Rhydon. Alright, the summary of Rhydon, who is a Rock Ground type Pokemon. Its base stats are HP 105, Attack 130, defense 120, special 45 and speed 40. In the second generation, both his special attack and special defense are still 45. Its recommended moveset would be Earthquake, Rock Slide, Substitute, and Body Slam. Alternatively, you can teach it things like Double Edge and Hyper Beam, or you can use Toxic in very dire situations. Note that Rhydon has no explosion or self-destruct. However, about Rhydon, Rhydon is a very similar Pokemon to Golem. When talking about the Generation 1 metagame, they are usually combined as one rock-ground typed entity for their similarities. However, this summary is mainly focused on Rhydon. Rhydon is a very situational Pokemon, but his great strength is that he is a counter towards Zapdos. Zapdos, its electric and flying type attacks may dominate the metagame, but not Rhydon. It's completely ineffective against him, so your opponent will always switch to one of the Pokemon that can beat Rhydon. Those are of course Exeggutor, Starmie, and Gengar with Mega Drain. However, being tied for the second highest attack stat, Rhydon can do a massive amount of damage to this Pokemon, or even better if your opponent is sending out an Exeggutor to try to put your Rhydon to sleep. Rhydon can use Substitute and use Body Slam to paralyze that Exeggutor, so that's very situational, but if it works, it helps out a lot. Now, I did some damage calculations, and Rhydon is guaranteed to 2-hit KO Chansey with Earthquake, and Chansey is also guaranteed to 2-hit KO Rhydon back with Ice Beam. However, note that Chansey is faster than Rhydon, so he may not be the best option to countering a Chansey. However, I found that, with his high attack stat, to be something of note. Now, that should be the summary of... oh wow, it used Ice Beam. That should have been the summary of Rhydon. And wow, it missed twice in a row because of one minimize. I guess I'm just going to use Sky Attack then. And I think I will switch out. Now, this battle, one time, I have genuinely been one time in a situation where I could have lost this battle. The opponent was getting moves, thanks to his metronome, that were very useful. And the win or the loss came down to a speed tie between Clefable and Articuno. If our Articuno did not go first that turn, I would have lost that battle. Genuinely, that happened. Now, I'm going to continue talking about that during the next battle. Alright, this next battle. Alright, so for this battle you want to use Jolteon, Starmie, and Zapdos. No, excuse me, I was thinking of the wrong battle. Starmie, Jolteon, and Articuno instead. I was thinking about the next battle already. So, you want to start off with Starmie and hope for Flareon or Poliwrath first in battle, which are the easiest for Starmie to defeat. Now, about that situation in which I almost lost, that actually was yesterday, when I did an attempt at recording this episode. Now, why I'm not uploading that attempt is because before that recording attempt, a few days before that, I recorded something else. I only needed audio for that recording, so I put my recording software to audio-only recordings. And I forgot to check the settings of my recording software before starting to record yesterday. Let's see, I want to switch out because this Weezing knows Sludge, Hyper Beam, Toxic, and Thunderbolt. Now, in case you anticipate this wheezing, you can also use Graveler or Rhyhorn. So, I had like an hour-long recording of only audio yesterday, and that was a bit demotivating. Now, wheezing has a decent special, so it does a decent amount of damage to us, and it can tank quite a hit. Sometimes you really need the critical hit in round 2, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. Let's see here, Articuno, I believe, outspeeds this wheezing, so I think I'm going to use Articuno. At least my notes say that Articuno outspeeds wheezing. Now, Machamp has, I believe, Fire Blast. It also has Submission, Body Slam, and Toxic, so can do a decent amount of damage to some Pokemon. But Articuno should be able to survive. And we're burned as well. Alright. One turn with Articuno, then Articuno goes down, and then one turn with Starmie is the plan.
We're down to one Pokemon aside. There's nothing left in reserve. Oh, it's poison. Will it be okay?
Alright. That should be this battle over with. Now, the next battle can be a little annoying. And so, earlier today, 20 minutes ago, I tried to record this episode again, but then during the third battle, somewhere in the third battle, my recording software completely froze and the recording was broken. So that is 2 wasted recordings. Now we've gotten 1 perfect match so far. That is the most you can expect in the Pokécup Master Ball. But for this battle, the opponent has a full team of Pokemon that use the move Confuse Ray, and some of its Pokemon know Body Slam, so it's going to also cause some of your Pokemon to be paralyzed, which can be quite annoying. You want to use Jolteon first, and then Starmie and Zapdos. Now, the reason why you use Jolteon first in this battle is because the opponent pretty much always sends out Lapras first, and Jolteon is guaranteed to 2-hit KO this Lapras. Now, this Lapras does have Body Slam, which can be quite annoying. You just gotta hope to not be paralyzed, which we are, unfortunately. I might use Confuse Ray on top of the Thunderbolt. Thunderwave. Did I say Thunderwave? I meant Body Slam. I'm going to switch out to Starmie. It's going to switch to Gengar, isn't it? Oh, Ninetales. Interesting. Now we should be faster than this Ninetales. Or we're not. Well, it's 2 levels higher than us. And we attacked ourselves. Aww.
The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle. The Pokemon return.
Now it's switching out to Gengar, I guess. Oh, Golbat, interesting.
What'll it do? There, it's a hit.
Alright, one Thunder should be able to finish it off from this HP.
Oh, toxic! It opted to slowly damage the opponent. Uh-oh, it's
Come on now.
neither one is succeeding in
Golbat should not be that much of a problem to defeat. But it has Double Edge, also Confuse Ray, Mega Drain, and Toxic.
it shook off its confusion. Perfect damage.
Alright.
An exchange of heavy blows. Neither Pokemon is backing down.
Alright, it's a speed tie between Golbat and Starmie. That's interesting to know.
Oh, it's down. What will the next Pokemon be? Here's a Pokemon chain. How will the type difference affect that?
Ninetales is probably going to finish it off, or use Confuse Ray. Interesting.
It's confused. How's that? Whoa, looks like a bad Pokemon choice.
I think I should throw out Articuno and preserve Jolteon for Lapras.
Oh, it's Zapdos. The Pokemon are entirely different types.
Did I say Articuno? I meant Zapdos, of course. I'm thinking about other battles while I'm in the one before that.
Hit you, Thunder Wave. Oops, it's paralyzed. What a furious battle.
Alright, so we are confused, and he is paralyzed.
A decent hit.
Alright, nice.
Paralyzed on the spot. Fireworks are flying in this battle.
Now if we can finish this off,
Off its
nice. That should be a win.
boom. Wow. Going down.
Now it's other Pokemon. Haunter and Gengar can be really annoying to defeat, especially because they have such a high special stat to the point that Jolteon takes like 3 or 4 turns to defeat them.
The tense battle continues. Savage attack. Wow, that's a sick hit. Oh, is it down and out? And there goes the battle.
Alright, so that is that battle done with. Off to the 4th battle. And this is why I wanted both Graveler and Rhyhorn in the team. Because this trainer has 3 very strong Electric-type Pokemon that it can use in the battle. Now I'm going to start with Articuno, anticipating a Grass Pokemon to be the first to be sent out. And Graveler and Rhyhorn. Now, this trainer, half of his team knows Thunder Wave, and the other half of his team knows Stun Spore. So that can be quite annoying to battle with. Now, if it sends out Raichu first, you want to switch to Rhyhorn.
Changing Pokemon. That Pokemon must not have been the right choice.
Rhyhorn can do the most amount of damage with his Earthquake.
Here's the first move. Oh, the attack missed.
Now, it might switch to Executor when it sees you using Rhyhorn, but it stays in battle and continues with Seismic Toss, so it doesn't deem switching out to be its best option. Now I'm just going to continue with Earthquake, see what the next Pokemon is going to be. Now, it's not often that the trainer uses 2 or more electric-type Pokemon in its team. But if it does, it is very useful to be having Rhyhorn and Graveler. Now, I gotta do a sacrifice play, so I'm just going to let Rhyhorn stay in and just tank until it gets KO'd. Now I'm going to switch into Articuno, and very often this Pokemon uses Stun Spore when it sees Articuno, so a substitute is usually the best option. Now, I'm going to use Ice Beam, hoping for a 2-hit KO. And it can't do much when you're in your substitute. I mean, it has Mega Drain, Double Edge, Growth, and Stun Spore, and it can't really do much. So the substitute is very useful. Now, Executor, this can be quite difficult for your team. You just want to be in the substitute rather than go into the substitute. It has Toxic, I believe. Excuse me, it has Stun Spore as well. And it's possible for it to use it once it sees Articuno. It's also possible that it just doesn't use it. It's really luck-based what it does. So I don't recommend going into the substitute when you see Executor. You just gotta tank the Psychics and use Ice Beam back to it, because you are faster and you are able to tank at least one Psychic. Now, the next battle. We have only one continue, which is less than you would want, but it's the most you are guaranteed. Let's see. For this battle, you want to use Zapdos, Articuno, and Graveler for the Electrode. And the Arcanine, pretty much. And Pinsir, actually. Alright, so this battle can be quite annoying. Let's see. When you see Electrode, you just want to use Thunder Wave, because its first turn it's probably going to use Reflect. And you just want it paralyzed. Now, it might switch out to another Pokemon, which can be quite dangerous, so... But I still think switching into Graveler is the best option. It can't do much against Graveler. Alright, it's fully paralyzed, that's nice. You just want to use Earthquake, I believe. Maybe it switches out to something like Dragonite, then Seismic Toss is the best option. Alright, you can't really do anything back to this Articuno, you just gotta do a sacrifice play.
What will the next Pokemon be? Here's a Pokemon.
Now Zapdos might not be the best option on first sight, but Zapdos is slower than its Articuno, but it can tank possibly one Ice Beam. Alright, there we go. And you just want to use that turn that you survived to use Thunder Wave on it, hoping to two-shot it with critical hits, Thunderbolts, I believe.
There it goes. Super effective.
Even without the critical hit, you can two-shot it. Just use Thunderbolt. And you just gotta hope for a easy third Pokemon on the team.
Which Pokemon is coming out?
Now, Snorlax. This one can be quite dangerous. You want it paralyzed or asleep. Paralyzed if you're using something like Zapdos, asleep if you're using something like Jinx.
A Psychic Blast. That's a good hit. And it's down. There's only one Pokemon left in reserve.
Now, this Snorlax is an Amnesia Snorlax. It has the move Amnesia, doubling its special stat. Now, Snorlax doesn't have a decent special on its own. It requires those Amnesias and then to use its other moves very well. Namely Psychic. It also has Earthquake and Strength, which by itself do a decent amount of damage, but even without the Amnesias, it's very difficult to defeat Snorlax, so the Amnesias make it even more difficult, which is annoying. It's like a 6 or 7 hit with some critical hits.
The crowd's excitement is building over this hot battle.
But we're lucky because it's paralyzed and we're in a substitute, so that is very nice.
Good hit. What's this? The substitute disappeared.
Now, you just want to go back into your substitute in case it does Amnesia or it's fully paralyzed.
Created a substitute. What's that? The substitute was used.
Alright, a critical hit. That would do about the same amount of damage as it using Amnesia once.
It created a substitute. It's paralyzed on the
Alright, fully paralyzed. We just want our own critical hits right now.
What now? Yeah, it's a hit.
See, it almost does no damage at all.
There it goes. The substitute disappeared. The heated battle rages on.
Back into our substitute.
It created a substitute. It's paralyzed on the
And another fully
Neither one is
full paralysis. Come on, critical hits. Nice. That is a very difficult battle over with. I'm glad it went pretty well.
We're down to one Pokemon aside.
This last Pokemon, what's it again?
There's nothing.
Electrode can't do much now.
There's just one Pokemon aside now. The battle is coming right down to the wire.
We should be able to win by default.
Severe hit.
That did less amount of damage than I would have liked, but it's paralyzed, so
Continue.
it should be fine.
How's that? Major damage. Savage attack. The substitute was used up. The crowd's excitement is building.
Alright.
Battle.
Off to the next battle, which is a bit of a step down with the team that we have. But it can still be a little dangerous. That's just the nature of the Poké Cup Master Ball in round 2. But we're almost there. Almost at the end. Alright, this trainer is mostly a water type trainer. It also has the Aerodactyl and the Rhydon. You just want to use Jolteon, Articuno, and Starmie. Alright, we gotta hope for a nice first Pokemon to be sent out. Alright, Rhydon. It's probably going to use Earthquake. And you just want to switch into Articuno and just use an Ice Beam. But it might switch out once it sees Articuno. So be prepared for another switch. You could predict that switch and then switch out yourself. But I guess he didn't switch, so hopefully this is a one-hit KO. It should have a very low special. It does have a low special, but I didn't think it would survive this. It has a very high attack stat, so that is a one-hit KO. The roles were turned around on us. I really was expecting that Ice Beam to KO from full HP.
How will the type difference affect that? Right, that's sir. That's the weak spot. Oh, it's down. Which Pokemon is coming out? Oh, it's Aerodactyl.
Now, Aerodactyl, it's faster than our Starmie, and the best thing you can do on its first turn out in the battlefield, because it's going to use Fly, is use Harden. Now, with Harden, you're going to survive the flies much better. So, when it comes down, you just want to use Surf. Now, without critical hits, Starmie should be just fine with only one Harden done. And with a critical hit, that is a sure one-hit KO.
There's only one Pokemon left in reserve.
Alright, you fully used its ground-type Pokemon, which is interesting. Hopefully this Slash doesn't do much damage, otherwise we've lost. Alright. Dugtrio, low special, rock ground type, it should not survive this. Alright. That was an easier battle than expected. It just used all of its ground type Pokemon. Now this trainer is interesting. Pretty balanced team, but its Pokemon only have 2 moves each. 2 pretty efficient moves each, so you really just gotta predict right which Pokemon it's going to send out first and then counter that with your own. I'm going to guess it's the Venusaur, so I'm going to be using Articuno's Zapdos. And in case of Persian, also Rhyhorn. Alright, so let's see. The first Pokemon is of course Venusaur. Now, Venusaur, Body Slam and Razor Leaf. It tends to use Body Slam a lot on Articuno. Now this can paralyze, so be prepared for that. And it happened on the first turn, of course. So the most Articuno can really do is KO this Venusaur. It won't do much more in this battle. Now, this can be quite annoying with if the opponent also has Ductrio on the team. Now, Persian has Slash and Thunderbolt, I believe. So it wants to be used against Articuno. Now, you should switch out to Rhyhorn, yeah, in case you see the Persian. Now, Persian usually doesn't get switched out to another Pokemon when it sees Rhyhorn. So you just want to do a Earthquake. You don't have to do something like Rock Slide. Slash is the most it can do, and it doesn't do anything. That was a little bit of water. I accidentally pressed Rock Slide in my confusion. And we missed. We should still be able to win this. Alright, so we could have possibly lost because I misclicked. Now I'm going to send Articuno. It can possibly tank one Thunderbolt. And then use an Ice Beam back to it, but we are paralyzed. It uses Slash instead, which is interesting. Which shouldn't KO. Now Ice Beam back, that should be a win. If its last Pokemon is not Ductrio, this should be a win.
There's only one Pokemon left in reserve.
Alright, Scyther. We should be able to win that with Zapdos.
The 10th battle continues. What a flash! What a weak! Oh! Is it down and out? We're down to one Pokemon aside. Oh, it's Zapdos. There's just one Pokemon aside now. The battle is coming right down to the
Alright, it's faster than us. I did not expect that, so I could have possibly used Thunder Wave instead. But I'm hoping Thunderbolt 1 hit KOs. Especially with a critical hit. That is nice. That is very nice. So we are off to the final battle now. And that one can be very, very annoying. Now, this is a Psychic type trainer, and it can be really annoying to defeat this trainer. You just want to use Zapdos, Articuno, and Jolteon. Alright, so this match can be quite dependent on which Pokemon are sent out first. Now, Alakazam has Psychic, Dig, Recover, and Reflect. You just want to Thunder Wave it. And now once it's paralyzed, you want it to be fully paralyzed, you're just going to throw out your thunderbolts against it. And you gotta hope for the critical hits. Otherwise it's a 4-hit KO on this Alakazam.
What'll it do? Severe hit. Fireworks are flying in this battle.
Alright, interesting. It switches again.
Oh, it's Jinx.
Alright, Jinx, we want it paralyzed or frozen by Articuno. Alright, a critical hit, that is very nice. We can tank one Psychic, but not one Ice Beam. Alright. We just gotta hope for Jolteon to finish it off, and then the next Pokemon to be something like Slowbro, which we can finish off in 2 turns. I'm just going to use Thunderbolt. Interesting, it's going to switch. Probably Executor. Or Hypno. Interesting. We want one of its Pokemon frozen. Alright, it's paralyzed, which is good, because this Hypno also knows Thunder Wave, so it can paralyze its back. Now we want the critical hits right now. Alright, fully paralyzed, that's nice. We just want the critical hits. We just want the critical hits right now. Critical hit, that's nice. We are very close to winning. Yeah.
Which Pokemon is coming out? Here's a Pokemon.
Alright, Alakazam.
The Pokemon are entirely different types.
We can win this. We just gotta do the Thunderbolts
What'll it do?
and hope for a critical hit.
A decent hit. What's this?
Now it's probably going to recover once it's at low HP. We just want to... I could use Pin Missile. If it gets a lot of hits, it does equal or more damage. Alright. It can go for the... Alright, it didn't go for the Psych. We have a high chance of winning this. We have a high chance of winning this.
There's only one Pokemon left in reserve. Oh, it's Articuno. It won.
Now, it could go for the recover right now, so I'm just going to use Ice Beam.
There it goes. And the weak spot.
And a critical hit when you absolutely don't need it. Oh goodness. We still have a high chance of winning this.
To one Pokemon aside.
Still have a high chance of winning this. Especially if we can get a critical hit on the next hit.
Left in reserve. There's just one Pokemon aside now. The battle is coming right down to the one.
Critical hit Ice Beam is what we need.
Yeah, it's a hit. How's that? Hit the weak spot.
Nice! Oh goodness. Alright, that is the Pokécup Master Ball done with. Oh, that was intense at some points, man. Oh. But we've done it. One of the harder challenges right now. So, 8 battles, 1 perfect match. I'm satisfied with what we've done today. Alright, the Pokemon that we used today. This has been Goku 7 with the Pokeball Pokécup Master Ball difficulty. I hope to see you next time when we take on the Prime Cup Master Ball difficulty. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.